Good evening and welcome to the Business Buzz, where we focus on news and activities centered around the global and local economy. I'm Thiruni Karunaratna. We start off with the headlines for tonight.
IMF emphasizes need for government fiscal discipline. Colombo port transshipment increases. Sri Lanka's export earnings forecast to increase 7% in 2024. Singapore Transport Minister charged with accepting bribes.
The International Monetary Fund has emphasized the need for fiscal discipline by the government of Sri Lanka in order for the government to turn the disastrous economic situation around.
Peter Brewer, IMF Senior Mission Chief to Sri Lanka, acknowledged the hardship caused by tax increases but emphasized their necessity for fiscal discipline in order to bring about Sri Lanka's long-term financial stability. Speaking at a press conference, Brewer explained that Sri Lanka's tax revenue as a percentage of GDP had dropped from 11% in 2019 to a mere 7% in 2022, creating a significant funding gap which greatly contributed to the economic debacle. He further described the plan for increasing tax revenue, targeting 9% of GDP in 2023, 12% in 2024 and 14% in 2025. Measures implemented so far included higher tax rates of income tax, corporate taxes and value-added tax, and he emphasized the need to stay on course with the property tax that is planned for 2025. He added that the government must stay committed to halting further tax concessions and must improve transparency in this area. Brewer also focused on the need to reduce tax evasion, noting that every person who evaded taxes is casting a further burden on those who do pay the taxes.
Now, the Red Sea crisis has quite unexpectedly resulted in a large increase in shipping traffic through Colombo, with as much as a 15% increase in container transshipment business.
Sri Lanka's Colombo port has seen a big jump in container volumes in recent weeks as vessels steering clear of tensions in the Red Sea have found it a convenient transit point, Reuters reported. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels have, since November, attacked ships in the Red Sea, part of a route that accounts for about 30% of the world's container shipping traffic. In response, many shipping companies have begun sailing their vessels around the southern tip of Africa, a slower and more expensive route that adds over 10 days to the journey. Due to Colombo's strategic location, it is the first shipping hub after ships go around Africa. Stopping at the port gives ships convenient access to the Middle East and South Asia. In 2023, Colombo handled 6.94 million containers, known in the shipping industry as 20-foot equivalent units or TEUs. In December, following the start of the Red Sea crisis, TEUs jumped 15%. Since the crisis began, shipping lines have requested more berthing windows at the port's 3 terminals. Transshipment volumes from neighboring India also grew. The port was actually forced to decline requests from several shipping lines to increase traffic because it would cause delays for existing customers. As much as half of this increase is from the Mediterranean Shipping Company or MSC line, the world's largest container shipping company. Shipping companies are also increasingly using Colombo as a relaying point, sometimes offloading their entire cargo to a different ship.
Sri Lanka's export earnings are expected to grow by 7% year-on-year in 2024 and by 8% in 2025, according to a research forecast by CTCLSA Securities Private Limited.
A report by CTCLSA Securities Private Limited has forecast Sri Lanka's export earnings to grow by 7% year-on-year to reach $12.7 billion in 2024. The report also forecasts a growth of 8% year-on-year for 2025 to reach export earnings of $13.6 billion. Additionally, the report stated that the expected economic recovery in 2024 is expected to support the enhancement of domestic manufacturing and trade activities whilst contributing to the growth in exports. The growth is based on several factors. The recent increase in the US Consumer Confidence Index could positively impact apparel sector exports for 2024. Furthermore, the agricultural sector-related exports are expected to recover for 2024 and 2025. However, import expenditure is forecast at $18.6 billion, which is a growth of 11% year-on-year for 2024 and $21.3 billion for 2025, which is an increase of 15% year-on-year. Most Most categories of imports were restricted in the first half of 2023. The government started to relax controls in September 2022 and further loosening took place in June, July and October 2023. As public finances recover, further relaxation is expected in 2024, according to the report.
Now here's something that would never happen in Sri Lanka. The Minister of Transport of Singapore has been charged with 27 counts of corruption related to gifts he received from a billionaire businessman. The minister resigned the very day he was charged in court.
A powerful member of Singapore's cabinet from the ruling People's Action Party was charged with 27 counts of corruption in a Singapore court on Thursday in a rare political scandal in the Southeast Asian city-state. The case is the first corruption case involving a cabinet minister in Singapore since 1986. 61-year-old Subramaniam Iswaran, who held the portfolio of Minister of Transport, pleaded not guilty in court. Iswaran is alleged to have received from property tycoon Ong Beng Seng to the tune of $120,000 to advance Ong's business interests. Ong, who is instrumental in bringing the Formula One Grand Prix to Singapore, was also arrested. A member of parliament for 22 years, Iswaran had earlier served as Minister of Communications and Information and Minister of Trade and Industry. As Minister of Trade and Industry, he is credited with being the driving force behind the boom in tourism to Singapore.
The Jaffna International Trade Fair 2024 was held over the weekend for the 14th year as part of efforts to foster economic growth and community development in the northern province of Sri Lanka.
The three-day Jaffna International Trade Fair 2024 from the 19th to the 21st of January was organised by Lanka Exhibition Conference Services Limited together with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Yalpanam. The Jaffna International Trade Fair has stimulated economic growth and facilitated international connections, attracting delegations and investment forums from various regions. It has also provided opportunities for entrepreneurs in the northern province to form lucrative partnerships and collaborations with leading conglomerates and businesses from across the country. This year, the trade fair received the support of 17 sponsors. The event's platinum sponsor was Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC. Gold sponsors were Adrian Solar Green Limited and Tokyo Cement Company Lanka PLC.
The Galle Literary Festival, Gourmet Galle and the Mathura Festival for the Arts are among a host of events that are being held to attract high-end tourism to Sri Lanka and to highlight the cultural, musical, literary and culinary excellence of the country in the Galle Concerto 2024, the Southern Festivals.
The Galle Literary Festival, that has become an annual and international event in Galle since it was founded in 2005, is also one of the most prominent literary events in the region. Over 65 renowned speakers, including Booker Prize winners, esteemed authors, poets and journalists will be present. MTV and MBC are the media partners of this event. The literary event will take place from the 25th to the 28th of January, featuring a diverse program of events including author talks, panel discussions, book launches, literary workshops and cultural performances. Gourmet Galle is a 12-week-long gourmet festival up and down the southern coast of Sri Lanka. A partner to the incredibly successful Galle Literary Festival, Gourmet Galle would feature dinners, afternoon tea and masterclasses with 13 amazing celebrity and world-renowned chefs along the southern coast of Sri Lanka. The dinners are set to take place in exquisite homes and the finest boutique hotels, carefully curated to make each weekend its own unique and incredible event. The inaugural Mathura Festival for the Arts will take place from the 1st to the 4th of February. Set against the mesmerizing backdrop of the UNESCO-listed Mathura Fort, this celebration promises an immersive experience in contemporary art and music. Other events of the Galle Concerto 2024 include Rhythms of Paradise in Koggala, Opera at the Anantara and the Southern Book Fair 2024.
Sri Lanka's tea exports for 2023 earned a record 428.29 billion rupees, which is an increase of 17.24 billion rupees or 4% as against the previous year's performance.
In US dollar terms, export revenue for 2023 was $1.31 billion compared with $1.26 billion in 2022. However, the volume of tea exported in 2023 saw a decline of 3.3%, totaling 241.9 million kilos. This was a decrease of 8.26 million kilos in comparison with 250.2 million kilos shipped in 2022. The highest ever quantity of tea exports was 327 million kilograms in 2014. The annual FOB unit price of $5.41 per kilogram for 2023 compared with $5.03 per kilogram in 2022. Sri Lanka's tea crop improved marginally in 2023, which is a slow recovery after ad hoc government policy decisions caused a crisis in the industry. The tea production for the year 2023 was 256.04 million kilograms, registering an increase of 4.20 million kilograms compared with 251.84 million kilograms in 2022. The Sri Lanka Tea Board said high-growns and mid-country teas have shown positive results in the year 2023. Sri Lanka's tea harvest was affected due to many shortcomings experienced since 2021, with the fertilizer crisis and the banning of herbicides being among the main contributory factors.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka hosted the 82nd SAFA Board meeting at the Shangri-La Hotel in Colombo on the 18th of January 2024.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, as a founding member of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, hosted the 82nd SAFA Board meeting at the Shangri-La Hotel, Colombo on the 18th of January 2024. The event brought together distinguished SAFA Board members from SAARC countries as well as many special invitees. The highlight of the meeting was the induction of Mr. Heshan Kurupu, President of CA Sri Lanka, as the new President of SAFA for the year 2024. Accompanying him in the new leadership role is Mr. Ashfaq Yusuf, past President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, who was appointed to the position of Vice President. SAFA, a network partner of the International Federation of Accountants, consists of 11 accountancy bodies in the South Asian region, including India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Maldives and Afghanistan, while Bhutan has been granted observer status. SAFA, with its permanent secretariat hosted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in New Delhi, plays a pivotal leadership role in guiding the accountancy profession in the region. SAFA boasts over 475,000 members affiliated with its member bodies across South Asia.
We'll be now heading for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
The Business Buzz.
මිනිසුන්ගේ මිනිස්කම් පිදෙන මානව ධර්මතා නොරැකෙන සමාජයක මිනිසුන් උදෙසා මිනිස්කම රැකෙන ජීවිතේ වටිනාම අවශ්‍යතාවය පිරිසිදු වතුර බිඳක් රැගෙන ගම්මැද්ද ගලින් විදුණු වැවට ගොඩ වූ වගයි.
So these are the three industries that, very interestingly, the industries that brings in dollars to this country, right? The tea, the garment and the migrant workers.
There was a time when the plantation child was seen as a child who was groomed to be a domestic worker. But then things have really changed.
When one domestic worker migrates, I think an employer pays to almost 800,000 to 1 million rupees for one domestic worker.
Not only participation, becoming politician, but also exercising your voting rights as a citizen of the country.
Creating public awareness is one of the important things that should happen. And then the workers need to be organized, and then facilities given for them to sort of organize themselves and demand for their rights.
Face the Nation, Wednesday nights at 9:30 on TV1.
The Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz. Let's now take a look at some of the corporate events in the news. Now, 4 companies have formally delisted from the Colombo Stock Exchange as of last week. The latest 4 to delist are Indo-Malay PLC, Good Hope PLC, Selin Singh PLC and Shalima Malay PLC. The number of listed companies on the CSE now stands at 286.
4 companies have formally delisted from the Colombo Stock Exchange as of last week. The latest 4 to delist are Indo-Malay PLC, Good Hope PLC, Selin Singh PLC and Shalima PLC. The number of listed companies on the CSE now stands at 286.
Sri Lanka's leading tile and bathware manufacturer, Royal Ceramics Lanka PLC, or Rosel as it is known, has once again taken the spotlight at 2 prestigious award ceremonies.
Rosel's outstanding contributions to the extra-large manufacturing sector were recognized at the CNCI Achiever Awards 2023 with multiple awards. The company received the National Merit Award for its bathware production facility, as well as the National Silver Award, Provincial Gold Award and the prestigious Top 10 Award for their tile production facilities. The CNCI Achiever Awards, organized by the Ceylon National Chamber of Industries, are designed to honor companies that excel in both the manufacturing and service sectors. Rosel also emerged victorious as the national level industry winner at the National Industry Excellence Awards 2023. This event took place recently at Nelumpokuna and was organized by the Ministry of Industries and the Industrial Development Board.
The Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology, or SLIT, ceremonially inaugurated its new expansive Library Learning Commons, or LLC, aimed at redefining the academic learning experience for students amidst a distinguished gathering recently.
The facility was ceremoniously unveiled by Professor Lakshman Ratnayaka, the Chancellor, Professor Lalit Gamage, Vice Chancellor, and Professor Nimal Rajapaksa, Senior Deputy Vice Chancellor. The event was attended by Pro-Vice Chancellors, faculty deans and heads of departments. The LLC aims to provide a modern, technology-driven learning environment with a focus on research, collaboration and academic support. Marking a fundamental shift from traditional library concepts, the Library Learning Commons offers students a vast wealth of modern facilities. Spanning across 3 floors and targeting to serve over 1,000 users, the Learning Commons focuses on collaborative learning beyond just accessing resources. It boasts multi-purpose spaces designed for group work, peer learning, hands-on practice, as well as individual study, modern facilities, including discussion booths, collaborative spaces, and research services.
Diversified conglomerate Sunshine Holdings PLC has announced the appointment of Vish Govindasamy as Deputy Chairman and Shyam Sathasivam as its new Group Chief Executive Officer.
Vish Govindasamy has been appointed Deputy Chairman of Sunshine Holdings PLC with effect from 25th January. Govindasamy has been with Sunshine Holdings for over 26 years. He is a past chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and the Employees Federation of Ceylon. Currently, he is a member of the governing board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Govindasamy holds an MBA and a BSc in Electrical Engineering. He is a fellow member of the Institute of Certified Professional Managers of Sri Lanka. Shyam earlier held the position of Managing Director of the subsidiaries of Sunshine Healthcare Lanka Limited and Sunshine Consumer Lanka Limited. Shyam brings over 25 years of corporate experience, demonstrating local business leadership, executive management skills, and extensive expertise in healthcare and consumer sectors. He is a former president of the Sri Lanka Chamber of Pharmaceutical Industry. Shyam started his career at Arthur Andersen UK in corporate finance, focusing primarily in raising capital for mid-sized companies. He joined Sunshine Holdings PLC in 2005. He is a graduate of the London School of Economics, UK, with an MBA from Northwestern University, USA.
We'll be now heading for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
The Business Buzz.
උගත මනා ශිල්පයමයි මතු රැකිනා. උඩුගම නාකියා දෙනිය දරුදරියන්ට විසල් දැනුම සොයායන්නට පුස්තකාලයකට මුල් කළ තබා අනාගතයට දුර විවර කළ වගයි. නගන ජන පෞර.
The Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz. It is now time for Food for Thought, where we give you something to think about.
Peter Brewer knows Sri Lanka's economic and governance fiascos far better than most Sri Lankans do. After all, he is the IMF mission chief in Sri Lanka. That means he is one of the most important and knowledgeable people when it comes to trying to clear up the mess that our political leaders have got us into. And that means we must never ignore or take lightly his advice when he gives it. A few days ago, Brewer publicly stated that the economic reform program implemented by the Sri Lankan authorities is yielding the first signs of recovery. However, challenges remain as these improvements need to translate into improved living conditions for Sri Lanka's people. Let us examine the national context in which Brewer spoke. The government says that the number of families receiving the Aswasama social security benefits is now 2.4 million. That's about 10 million of our citizens out of a population of about 22 million who are below the poverty line and unable to find 3 square meals a day. A year ago, that number was only about 5 million. So the number of people in poverty has roughly doubled over the past year. In fact, we don't even have 22 million people in our country anymore. According to the Department of Immigration and Immigration, nearly 2 million passports were issued in the years 2022 and 2023. If one assumes that most of these people have left our shores, then we effectively have only about 20 million people left, half of whom are in poverty. Our medical system has collapsed, with thousands of doctors and nurses having fled the country. Our education system may be next, with everyone from preschool teachers to university lecturers bidding our fair isle goodbye. We can argue about the statistics, of course, but the situation has not improved over the past 18 months. It has simply gotten worse. Having sufficient petrol, diesel and gas for the current devastated economy to splutter along is not enough. Peter Brewer is right. We need the economic reforms to translate into improved living conditions for Sri Lanka's people. The government is hoping for an economic turnaround, but the truth is that foreign direct investment is almost invisible now, and our own small and medium sector has collapsed upon the weight of debt to local banks and financial institutions. Will Sri Lanka ever recover? Yes, we will. So what's holding us back? Sentiment. That's right. To be more precise, it's investor sentiment. Investors, whether they be foreign multinational corporations or local businessmen, are waiting to see who will be running our government a few months from now. More precisely, everyone wants to know what their economic policies will be, whether the government is led by the JVP, SJB, UNP, SLFP or a coalition. Elections are coming. Gotabaya Rajapaksa took oaths on the 18th of November 2019, and the term of a president is 5 years. Constitutionally, the next presidential election must be held not less than 1 month and not more than 2 months before the expiration of the term of office. Thus, the next presidential election is mandatory before the 19th of October 2024. 9 months to go at most. The next general elections could be held even before that if the president dissolves parliament or if the parliament dissolves itself. In any case, they must be held within 5 years of the last elections, which took place on the 5th of August 2020. Doubtless, a new president would dissolve the parliament and hold general elections sooner. Until then, we need to pay heed to Peter Brewer's words and try to ensure that any economic reforms must improve the living conditions of the people.
We'll leave you tonight with words of wisdom of a global leader, as we always do. The president of Argentina, Javier Milei, criticized the concept of taxes during the World Economic Summit at Davos 2024. He said, social security measures are unjust because the state is financed through tax, and taxes are collected coercively. Can any one of us say that we voluntarily pay any taxes? Which means that the state is financed through coercion, and the higher the tax burden, the higher the coercion, and the lower the freedom. And that's all the time we have for you tonight. For the Business Buzz and Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karunaratne. We'll see you again same time next week. Until then, take care and goodbye.
The Business Buzz.
If the people of this country still opt to vote for the Rajapaksas and the SLPP, then we have very, very little hope.
Sri Lanka has a unique position of being the absolute last in the world in terms of revenue to GDP.
You need to get rid of corruption, then only we can think about at least some rationale in the development of a country.
As a party, we are planning to organize a lot of protest campaign and some meetings and demonstrations, all kind of things from January.
When the purchasing power, what we call the aggregate demand, goes down, it will have a negative impact in the economy as well.
Face to Face, Newsfirst political talk show, Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. on TV1.